Hello, everyone, and welcome to takTalks number 8. This is going to be a fun one. I've stepped off of Ramsey Street. Ooh, isn't the danger out there? And headed over to the beach of Summer Bay. We have Lukas here. How do you say your last name? Is it Radovich? Radovich?
It's Radovich.
Radovich,
Yeah.
here he is. I should have asked you that before we went on, but I had a little bit of a computer update issue that meant that we were running out of time towards the end there, which is completely my fault. But welcome to takTalks.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited to be here in my home and being on the the live streaming as well. It's awesome.
Yes, and hello to we have about 40 something people on right now watching us, which is quite exciting. So how have you been in isolation?
Yeah, good. I'm currently in my parents' place in the Blue Mountains, so it's like nice to not be stuck in the city. I have an apartment in the city where it has like this tiny little balcony, and it's just so nice to like walk outside and not get fined around here. So
That's always a good thing. You don't want to get fined.
no.
Wait, so when did you guys break? You went off before us.
We went off a few weeks before you. I can't remember the exact date, but I think it's been about 2 weeks. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I,
so
I feel like the last 2 weeks have been like 3 months in comparison to everyday life. So, my like comparison between what day is which, like, it was today's Friday, right? So like
no, it's Thursday.
oh, it's Thursday. You see? Yeah.
yeah. No, I'm not sure if you've seen that meme, but it's like we'll replace each day of the week with this day, that day, the other day, and I can't remember what the last one was. But that's pretty much the monotonous
That's so
nature
true.
of it. It's only good for me because I know which guests are coming on each day, and that's how I stay in tune with it. But
Oh, so this is the reason you're doing it then. It's just to have like calendar dates like firmly it's like
yeah,
cemented in. It's a
this is
good
my
plan.
virgin. It's my version of like this. You see the prison films where people scratch into the wall and they do 1, 2, 3 mine's like each guest. That's how I'm keeping track of my days. Um,
Well,
yeah. So you're in your parents' place in the Blue Mountains, is that right?
yeah. I've lived here since what we've been here for 20 years, and I grew up. I was born in Penrith,
Oh yeah,
so yeah,
yeah. The
yeah, the
Rift,
Westies.
yeah, the Rift.
Yeah, the Rift. But yeah, lived like 5 years in a house in the Blue Mountains, and then we moved to this place, and I've been here like ever since. Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah, it's very nice. Yeah.
Nice and quiet out there.
Oh, it is so quiet. It's actually too quiet. I've gotten so used to the city and like the ambient noises of trucks and, police, like sirens and everything that I feel like I need to have a fan on just to like put some white noise somewhere because it's just literally dead silent.
Yeah, my,
Yeah,
my mate's to
it's great.
struggles. Well, used to because he'd always have his computer on because he'd do like 3D graphic stuff, and so it'd always be rendering, and so he couldn't fall asleep if his computer wasn't on and the hum wasn't there because he got so used to it.
Oh,
It's just a constant
no.
in the background, which I don't know. I think that would.
Yeah, that white noise. I mean, there's like scientific studies about white noise and how like soothing it is to people, and I feel like that's me. I cannot sleep without some sort of like interference in my auditory. I like literally just
Do you
can't.
like the ASMR
Yeah.
stuff then as well?
No, I
You hate
hate
it.
it. I
Oh,
hate it. Oh, that's like a
them
ooh.
fighting words.
Although I yeah, no. That pickle. Have you seen that pickle one of like that woman eating pickles?
No. Well, clearly
Yeah.
you've looked into it.
Oh
So.
well, I have. But you're on YouTube already, guys. So just Google away. But
Google pickle eating, but be
no,
careful because some of those videos might not be what you think they
yeah, exactly. No, that stuff just freaks me out. Uh,
So what have you been doing to beat the monotony of isolation?
Drinking a lot of
What is that? I
these
was about to
is
ask.
a. I've made myself a cocktail because when can you do an interview and have a cocktail? So I just thought, may as
There is that
well.
English one. I think it's chatty something. It's really fun. It's sort of like it's like Graham Norton but more camp, and everyone has like a cocktail
Oh,
the whole time.
yeah.
Chatty.
Alan Carr. Is that
Yeah,
Alan
it
Carr?
could be. It could be. Anyway, it's one of those shows I go, I
Yeah,
want
I
to be
think
on
so.
that someday. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. purely for the free.
So apart from boozing, what else have you been getting up to?
Yeah, well, to be honest, like we have such a crazy schedule with home and away that it's actually a little bit nice to have a bit of downtime and just spend time with my family because I can't even remember the last time that I was up here, before all this started. So it's nice to just kind of be contained in a bubble and be bored
Mm.
because like I'm never bored. I'm always so go 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 that it's nice to just like sit and relax and read and um just I have been doing a little bit of writing and I've that I saw like on there was like these Harvard online
Oh.
courses that you can do and so I've been doing one in a free course in ancient world literature just because like
What are you learning?
I've
Tell us
always
something
been
you've
interested in.
learnt from this ancient world literature.
Oh, well. First, we started with Gilgamesh, which is an ancient Assyrian tale. But yeah, no, basically it goes from like very, very, very like thousands of years ago and like great epic tales and then goes to like, like the first novel. And did you know the first novel was written by a Japanese woman?
Really? Was it any
Yes.
good?
Yep. Well, like I haven't read it yet, but since like the 11th century, so I'm assuming it does all
Yeah,
right.
it must be okay. People knew about it.
Yeah.
Although I wonder if she was the first, or if there was like thousands of failed writers who wrote novels that nobody ever read, and that she was the
Yeah,
first one
yeah,
that
yeah,
somebody else
yeah.
read.
That's right. And if those writers could look back at that moment, they'd be like, "Oh, God damn it! I've tried my whole life and I got
She got the
nothing
first.
accomplished."
She did. So what else are you reading then? You said you've been reading a bit. What sort of books do you like?
Um. Yeah. So I've been reading a lot of David
Mm-hmm.
Sedaris. I think he's quite hilarious. He's like a American novelist, but he basically writes about how like crazy his family is. Like you might know Amy Sedaris, who is an
Mm-hmm.
actress. If you've ever seen Broad City or if you watch like BoJack Horseman, she's the cat, the voice
Oh,
of the cat.
her. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, and she just sounds like a terror when she
Oh,
was
really?
growing up. But she's his younger sister. So basically, he just writes all about his like childhood and all these crazy stories. Like the more you read, you realize how much it's all fabricated, but it's still so enjoyable to read and to be like, oh, so my family wasn't the only one that did that, or like my family wasn't the only one that like yelled at each other and beat each other up, and
Yeah, I feel
like,
that's pretty common. Do you have siblings?
yeah. I got two older
Yeah,
brothers,
see,
so yeah, I was always
yeah, I'm the younger one
the
too.
runt of.
So I feel like
Yeah, how was that?
every older sibling feels the same way as was Andy does to Amy, in that they're always the little shit, and the older one's always like the normal one who's fine. So
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, like I've got two older brothers, and the oldest one, went through all of like the hard regimented um, parental
yeah.
guidance, and then the middle one was forgotten, and it's so true. The middle one's forgotten, and he's the nice one. He's like the really like even-tempered, stoic one. That's just like, could you help me out with something? And he'd be like, yeah, sure, no worries, and just gets on with it. And then I'm just like the one that's gotten wanted from my. So I'm just
What a terrible place to be in. Been the baby.
oh, stay at my parents' house free of rent. Oh, okay.
What a terrible position to be in. What did your parents do growing up, or what do they still do if they still do
Mm.
it?
Yeah, my dad is a pilot,
Cool.
so not much work for him
Yeah.
at the moment. But he's been a pilot for 32 years or something like that. Um, and my mum started off as a ballet dancer, and then she kind of went into acting a little bit. She was on Sons and Daughters.
Oh yeah.
So that was no, and a country practice, just like guesties here and there, just uh, shows and going and performing. But then that kind of petered out, and she started teaching young adult fiction stories for adults. young adults. Yeah.
Cool. Is that the kind of writing you've been doing
Yeah.
too, along those lines?
No, not really. I have been writing. She's been writing like short story, that kind of thing, and I prefer like writing scripts. And so, short films and this short film writing course last year or the year before, and so that kind of taught me how to write a feature in its like standard structure. So I've just kind of been using that and as I can.
That's exciting. So, do you want to go
Yeah,
into the production side as well as the acting side of things? Do you want to step into producer role, or do you
yeah.
just want to stay as a writer? Do you want to direct too, or is writing where you
I
kind
kind
of
of want to do it
you want to do it
all.
all? Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. I feel like I've always wanted to be, and once I kind of got to this place, I realized I wanted more like the story that I was telling.
Hmm.
So I think being able to direct or write or produce even gives you those options. And this might be years and years in the future, but I just know that's kind of like my trajectory. I just kind of want to branch out as much as I can, because also when you branch out and you learn about editing, when you learn about writing, when you learn about directing, it impacts you as an actor so much. And you kind of go, oh, that's what they mean. And or like you hear them talking in the background while you're like on set, and you begin to understand exactly where they're coming from. And so therefore you're able to like match your performance to what they want and what you want. And yeah,
Yeah, it's one of the things
yeah,
that like I wonder if you had the same thing. Where going on to Neighbours, one of the lessons that I learned, which I wasn't expecting to learn, was that of how to communicate with different directors and what sort of directors I actually like, and knowing and being able to feel whether the skill level that a director might have. Not that I'm there judging the directors anyway, but I definitely found that there's some directors I go, I click and I completely understand what you're saying when you're giving me a direction. There's other directors I go, oh, you're just speaking a different language, and then having to switch and go, now I know what you're talking about. Did you find that
yeah.
same sort of thing?
Oh, yeah. And it's really interesting seeing how different directors, what their background is, because um, you can have directors that come from a producing background, or they studied
Yeah,
directing, or they were writers, or they were actors, and the way they direct is in the line of what their foundations
yeah,
are. And so when you kind of understand like who they are and where they come from, you begin to understand the reason they direct the way they do. Um, it's like I find that a lot of the directors that are producer
mm,
based, foundation, um, it's often they've got a picture of exactly how they want it, um, and of like the finished product. They're like, I want you to get to here, but there's no kind of like discovery. Whereas I feel like sometimes directors that start who have trained in directing, they're a bit more lenient in terms of like, let's try this, let's
mm.
try that, let's try this, and they kind of you work with it together. Well, they create it together. But yeah, it's interesting. It's and once you kind of understand that, it becomes a lot easier to do your job as well.
Well, no, absolutely. And you were saying before that you wanted to have some control over the stories you tell. What sort of stories do you want to tell?
Um, well, for one, like let's start geographically. I think the Blue Mountains, growing up here, impacted my life so much, and it's really interesting because a lot of stuff gets filmed up
Mm,
here, but not a lot of stories are based here. So, like you look at The Great Gatsby, a lot of that production was filmed up here in the gardens, and um, Tomorrow When the War Began, and there's like a lot of American Hollywood films get filmed up here, but it's never about the
mm.
location. It's always just and like I'm trying to Hacksaw Ridge, the Blue Mountains in Hacksaw Ridge are actually these Blue Mountains, and it's really bizarre when you watch it because you go, hang on, this is not like Central Middle America. That's definitely like the Three Sisters in the background.
So are then the
But
stories within, are they then human dramas within that landscape? And
Yeah. I feel like they're more down the stream of realistic, um, plot-driven dramas that have to do with like families and with and relationships. Not so much. I mean, like I'm a massive like sci-fi buff and action and adventure. Like Indiana Jones. Growing up as a kid, I used to dress up as him in the backyard with my fake
Is that
whip
one of the things you have a
and
photo of?
just like,
Lucas has told me that he's
oh
got some
no,
photos of him
no.
performing when he was little, so I was kind of hoping that there'd be one of them.
Oh, no. No, so I am at my parents' house, which means that I have like a treasure trove of photos of growing up. Oh, I should, like, yeah,
You thought it was a good idea
they're
before, and now you're
bad.
thinking maybe I shouldn't have said that I had
Yeah, literally. I'm like looking at some of them right now, thinking, what have I
them. All
done?
right, well then show us one and tell us a story from it.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, all right. Well, I went to a Steiner school, Steiner primary school, so that's like alternative learning. Rudolf Steiner, he kind of gets you out in the bush and teaches you how to live your life rather than and like teaches you about the world and the environment. Um, but we used to do a play every
Mm.
year, and all the kids used to play different roles. And one of the productions that we did was of Nero and like the fall of
Yeah.
Rome. So like big stuff for a year five.
For a 10, 11-year-old.
um, and who is Nero? This guy. um, and there was like a prop in the production that we needed. It was like an altar that had like Nero's photo, or like wasn't obviously a photo, but it was like a sculpture or
Mm.
whatever with all these candles around it. And I thought, oh, what a great idea! I could just like take a photo of myself, and that could be like the altar, the whatever it is. Yeah. Bear in mind, like this is a joke. Like I'm not. I had a little bit of a sense of humor even back then, so this is not serious, but um, I thought this would be the best pose.
Yeah.
Wait,
That's so good. You're looking very
yeah,
regal.
I've got like got a laurel wreath type thing. I got like an oak chair that I'm sitting on, a little gold cape.
I am disappointed that the
Yeah,
cape isn't purple, because then you would have been like closer to, where was your
closer
where was
to
your ancient
yes.
text then? You should have done your Harvard course
Oh, I
then.
know,
Disappointing.
I know. Yes, I'm gonna write to my year five teacher right now, actually, and tell them that it's not historically accurate. You know what isn't historically accurate as well? Photographs in like ancient Rome.
That's very true. Was it? Did your mum introduce you to acting? What was the?
Oh no, not at all. No. Yeah, it's really interesting. Like mum never pushed me into doing what I'm doing. I feel like I didn't even know what she did. She had done that until I was in my late teens. Like, yeah, I've always kind of just like been able to do what I want to do, which is incredible. And no, I'm like very, very lucky to be able to say that, like if I wanted to learn an instrument, my parents would take me to the lesson. And like I went through a lot of instruments until I realized that I wasn't skilled at any.
What was the worst one? What were you worst at?
Oh, probably like violin because it's the most annoying.
It's the most annoying if you don't play well, because there's a lot of screeching if you don't do
Yeah,
the thing,
yeah. Oh, beautiful, beautiful if you can,
but not
but
in your hands.
yeah, no, no, definitely,
Uh,
yeah.
is it-
But yeah, no, she like um yeah, she took me to as much as she could, and then it was later that I started looking her up on YouTube and finding like clips of her when she was my age on a country practice, and that was quite hilarious. I mean, she had a full mullet
wow.
going on, and I wish I had some photos of that. I don't know where they are, but wow, wow, incredible.
Yeah, well, no, I think everyone would appreciate if you had some photos of that. Do you look more like your mum or your dad?
Oh,
Like
like
your
my
dad.
dad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fair.
definitely. Yeah, my mum is like this high, and like
Like
I know I'm
whilst you're
sitting
sitting, she's
down and
that
I'm
high, or when
feeling
you're
that, but
standing?
yeah. Shoes that high when I'm sea day. Yeah, no, and dad is taller than me, but yeah, we look very similar, very
Very
Slavic.
Slavic.
Yeah,
Fair enough. So
yeah.
then, so what did you just have an impulse to want to perform? Is that what happened?
Um, I honestly, I don't know. Like, I when I first started out, I just did plays for as long as I can remember. Well, look, I'll show you. Um, this is the big book, but if you can see, move this. So that's me
Oh my god.
in like year on a kindergarten
It looks
in the
like
red
Nero. It
pants.
looks like you just, reused
I know,
the.
I know.
Look,
My whole childhood was revolved around
what's the chef
an
one
emperor.
there? There's this. Is that a giant chef hat?
Oh, yeah, yeah. This is no. Okay, would have been my other profession. I'm an obsessive cook. I love to cook. My whole family does. Um, and this is me. Hang on. I don't know if you can see
Luke's
that,
Mighty
but
Muffins.
Luke's Mighty Muffins. Look at the
Look
moustache.
at the mo. That is excellent.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah. No, I like I've always wanted to perform. And I think like one of the major influences as well was I have this book somewhere as well. When I was in like year 3, all about like Viking mythology
Mm.
and hearing those stories. And I think we did like a Viking play that year at Sona. But I love this power of stories, and the fact that you can tell a story, you can learn something from it, you can be entertained at the same time. Um, but I kind of like didn't really think about that when I was actually, in my early teens, and I did a lot of musicals at like the Blue Mountains Musical Society, like Grease and Les Mis and Bye Bye Birdie and Sound of Music, like heaps of different things. I can't sing, like I can't sing
Oh,
at
you
all,
can't sing.
but no, 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 not anymore. I don't know.
What do you mean not
I just
anymore? Like your gift of voice just left you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It like somehow just evaporated overnight. Or maybe I just had the confidence being like, yeah, I can sing, and then now I realize I'm a bit more introspective, and I
Or is this the kind of thing where an actor goes, "Oh, I can't really sing," but they can sing because you've been around people who can
no,
really sing?
no, I've thought about this. That's not the
No, you're just
case.
genuinely not very good.
Yeah, it's not one of those things where like, oh, it's like, oh, don't make me sing, I can't sing, and then at like a dinner party, you're just like, no, but like, no, 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 no. If I did that at a dinner party, people would leave.
Maybe that's what you need sometimes though, just to clear the room, because sometimes people don't want to leave.
Yeah, these times of self isolation, I feel like it could be a good skill to have.
Yeah. What are you sitting in at the moment?
A
No, I
chair?
mean like this
Where else?
room is it like
Oh, yeah, it's a bit of a perspective bender, isn't
yeah.
it? Um, okay, so my house is like a circle, and then there's like it's like a
Yeah.
pie, and each room is a triangle with the door
So your
there.
your your house is legit a circle. Like
Yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And in so like it's like section, 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 section. So it's like bedrooms and studies and stuff, and then in the middle there's like a
Hole and
huge
you fall into it if you go in there.
circular. Yeah, literally a black hole. You never see it again. um, no, there's like it's like the living room and like the living space in the middle. Yeah, it's really
That's
bizarre.
awesome.
I don't have no idea. I'm pretty sure like a medieval enthusiast built this house because it's very medieval. There used to be, we've like taken it all out, but there used to be like stained glass everywhere, and there's like a giant fireplace made out of sandstone
Cool.
and like archway doors and stuff. But it looks like a nerd from medieval, architecture built this place.
It sounds awesome. Although I imagine there's probably some practicality things that get super annoying with the shape of it.
Terrible. I you can't. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. You you can't put anything in any corner of the room because it's like this. It's not a normal corner, so like there's just so much space which doesn't get used. Oh, tell you what, the architect for this place, I reckon, would have been like, "Are you sure you want this? Are you sure?" And the guy who like wanted it would be like, "Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna look great." And then
You just need to find heaps of
the practicality.
circular or curved furniture to be able to fit into it.
Yeah, yeah, not like 90 degrees. It needs to be like 60 or something.
Um,
Yeah, who has 60-degree
yeah.
furniture? I'd
Oh,
like to
right. All
know.
those people who
Please,
have
if
60-degree
anyone knows.
butts, I think they just sort of can slot in there.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
can go sideways.
yeah,
This is Grand Designs with Takaya and Lucas.
yeah. Terrible designs.
Terrible designs. Terrible designs. So was there a moment where you thought you made the decision in your head, I want to be an actor, as opposed to the idea of like, because I think a lot of people when they're little will go, oh yeah, I'd love to act kind of thing, but where it became a realistic decision of like, this is actually what I want to do.
Um, yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. I've met a lot of people who started off acting quite young in terms of their early teens and kind of being pushed into it like that. Not pushed in like that.
Mm.
Um, I the first time I got like an experience of like the professional industry was when I was 16. One of my brother's friends, who is a great commercial director now, he would. I talked to him and I said, "Oh, I want to be. I want to be go into this world somehow." And he said, "Oh, why don't you try casting?" And so for my year 10 work experience week, worked in a casting agency.
Mm.
So that was kind of like my first taste of like the professional world. And then when I finished that week, the casting agent who ran the place was like, "Oh, why don't you come back and do like weekends or whenever you have and so I started working there, and I ended up working there for like 2.5 years.
Oh wow.
And that kind of showed me the casting side of the industry, which was so much fun. If I wasn't an actor, I would be a casting director. I just had the best time because, like, one, it's project based. You get to work on new things all the time. You get to meet lots of great people. It's creative because you get to direct people in the moment, and also like it's instinctual as well. It's really cool to work from like, oh, that person would be great for this role, and that person would be great for this role, and yeah. So I kind of like worked there, and that was really good. And then I went overseas for a year just to kind of, I don't know, do my
Yeah.
gap year and do what everyone does in Australia, and they kind of just like see the world and see where they fit in it. And so I auditioned for WAAPA because I knew that it was a good school at the time, and then got in, and then yeah.
So did you
Ever
get in,
since
did you get
then,
in on your first audition?
no, 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 no. I auditioned straight out of school,
Mm.
way too green. Like I'm so thankful that I didn't get in. I was very bummed at the time, but yeah. The year that I had outside of school was just so formative, and um, there were two people in my year at WAAPA who had gotten in straight from school, and they were both very mature for their age, but at the same time, I just like, I'm so glad that I had that year just to kind of find myself and explore the world, and
Where'd you go?
Um, I went. So I first off, I worked in Fox Studios, doing Bollywood castings,
Nice.
which was like the best thing
Did you have to
ever.
be
It
a
was
reader
so
for
much fun.
these things as well?
No, I was. So I like. If this person ever sees this, this is going to be great. But I pretended that I like was a proper casting agent. I'd been working at this place called Fountainhead Casting,
Oh yeah.
in the city. Yeah, for like as an assistant, right? So just like doing data entry. I get a call being like, "Oh, we need a casting director to do this huge campaign," and I said, "I'm a casting director," and
Wait, this wasn't at
got.
Fountainhead. You were like, when
Oh
you
yeah,
answered their phone and said, "I'll do it."
yeah, yep, absolutely.
Excellent.
Um, and and well, yeah, it was like yeah, and I went there and had like a wiki how on how to do casting on one side of on my MacBook, that I had like a whole like desk and everything, and then I had like the list of all of the auditions and stuff, and so I just kind of like worked them there. But then like it ended up being the best job ever. The guy that was the producer and the owner of um the company used to like take us to go see Bollywood movies in our lunchtime break, and he'd be like on his desk, be like, "Oh, I'm bored now. Let's just like have a beer. Do you have a beer?" And you turn to your boss and be like, it's like 11 a.m." He'd be like, "Oh yeah, whatever, whatever."
Hence why you have a cocktail now.
Yeah,
That's where
exactly.
it
It's an
started.
honor. Yeah. But yeah, no, that was great. And then I went to Croatia. It was great to see like where my family was from. I went to my family's village, and I went to Bosnia, where my grandmother's from. Spent time in Slovakia, where I have family there as well. England, and then Barcelona, Amsterdam. Yeah, just like a kind of
What was the
not a Kentucky
what was the best and worst moment from the trip, or
best
one of
moment.
one of?
Was yeah, no, best moment was I was working in a hostel in Korčula, which is an island in Croatia, and I worked there for just as the pool boy.
Hence the mo that you've got at the moment.
Red speedos, just like with my pool tool.
You're just picking up heaps of people. That's all you're doing. You were just
And the bus driver to pick up all of the new hostel inmates. But yeah, no, I did that. That was probably one of the best moments of the whole travel. It was so much fun. I had met the greatest people. Worst was getting stranded in Bosnia and witnessing a
oh,
stabbing.
why did you go and watch that?
Where,
It
yeah, it was just a nice
was like
viewing party.
Gladiator.
Everyone was
Yeah.
staying there going,
No.
yeah,
Wait, what happened?
basically, it's a wild. Oh well, I was like at a cafe, and there were these American tourists who were being quite hostile towards one of the I don't know, somebody that lived there, and this guy just came up to him and just like stabbed him. I was like sitting at the cafe, and anyway, this guy stabbed him and just walked down the street as if like it was just the normal thing to do, and this American backpacker had to like
He was
he was
stabbed.
just like on the ground. He was stabbed. Yeah, yeah. But this was just like in the most bizarre town I'd ever been to in Bosnia. Like it was. I had no money. My phone wasn't working. I went to this cafe to get a coffee, and like everyone just gave you the dirty eye,
Yeah.
and I was just like, oh no, but I swear, like I have heritage here.
Yeah.
Please treat me well. But as much as I thought it would. And anyway, I ended up having to stay in that village for 3 days, and I just stayed in my hostel for 3 days and watched like TV series on my phone. Not like Too Afraid died.
Which I
So
think
that
is
was
fair
one.
enough. If I've seen someone get stabbed at the little village that doesn't have that many people and could see that
A
person
little
who
bit
did the
lit.
stabbing. I can't. You'd probably
I know.
not go
Yeah,
outside very
as
much.
I was 17 as well, so
You
yeah.
what?
But I was 17,
Oh yeah, okay.
and that kind of made sense. But yeah, no, it was good. But as I said, I'm glad that I had that year where I could just explore as much as I could, and then come back, and then just I felt like I was ready to audition. The first time I was a little bit hesitant, I was a little bit worried, and then the second time I just remember going in there being like, nah, this is what I want, and I'm going to do a good job, and yeah.
And you must have.
So
Okay. And what was the WAAPA experience like?
yeah, it was really good. Um, I it yeah, it's hard to it's always hard to put into words that experience because um it feels like 10 years that's condensed into 3 years. Um, you are just working so hard every single day, Saturdays, Sundays, before uni, after uni. And so you feel like you live a lot of time in those 3 years. Um, and Perth is the most incredible place to live as well. So you're not only studying in a great institution, it's really lovely to be in Perth as well. But yeah, I definitely learned a lot there. Um, I think that the opportunities that I got there, I wouldn't have been able to get anywhere else in Australia, maybe the world, I don't know, but it was the people that I met and the lecturers that were able to come into the institution and teach on a daily basis. Like I couldn't rate it high enough.
Was
Yeah.
there a moment for you there when things clicked in a performative sense where you went, where you felt like you went from being someone who was trying to do the acting thing, who went, now I actually understand the thing? Or did you feel like you already had that?
Yeah. No, 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 no. I feel like I was stabbing in the dark. Um, there was a moment in my third year where I was playing this role, which um, I so like basically to give you context, first year you do one performance of a show at the end of the year where people watch. Second year you do five, I'm pretty sure, and then they're all just like different plays and different directors from all around the world, Australia, and then the third year you do the same. And I had never done like a major role. I'd always kind of done a side role, supporting ensemble, and then in third year I got to do. Oh, sorry. In At the end of second year, I got to do a role which I really resonated with, and I learned so much performing, doing the character. And I think that's when it kind of all clicked. Um, but then, I say it all clicked. I'm still learning every
Yeah, of
single day,
course.
like working on Home and Away. Um, I, like it's invaluable experience, and I feel like I'm never done. And I feel like if you are, I've mastered it, then you've got a definite ego on you.
Yeah. How do you master existence? That's not really a.
Literally, yeah, exactly. And like, why would you want to as well? Like, why would you want to stop growing? Why would you want to stop learning? It's something which always fascinates me. And you're exactly like, how can you master existence? The world is always changing, and you know people change with it, and so you can't exactly master like living if the world is constantly changing.
So when you're getting towards the end of WAAPA, which stands for Western Australian Academy of Performing Arts for the people at home, which is over there in Perth, which is like for the people who are watching from the UK, it's like RADA. NIDA is sort of in the New South Wales version. But WAAPA's produced some really great talent over the last few years, including yourself. But yeah, when you're getting towards the end of that third year, did you have a picture in your mind of what kind of actor you were going to step out into the world and be? What kind of roles you thought you might be sort of stepping into, that would be your kind of thing?
Yeah.
There was a little smile there, so I feel like there's something.
Yeah. No. The head of acting for well, the head of he ran the course basically. Said that he could imagine me on something like Home and Away, and I laughed in his face.
Did you take that as an insult or a compliment at that point in time?
No, 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 no. I just, I don't know. I never anticipated myself doing it. And I went, oh yeah, come on, as if I don't think that's going to happen. Who knows where they're going to go? Sure enough, that's where I landed. But no,
Because it was quite
I don't
soon
know.
after you graduated, right, that you booked Home and Away.
Yeah, so I finished in December of 2016 at WAAPA, and then I started in May 2017. So it was only a couple of months.
Wow.
Yeah, and the girl that I was living with, actually, Brittany, who's one of my best friends, she started on Home and Away maybe a month or 2 months before I did.
Wow.
So she started it. I was like, oh, that's fantastic. And she ended up being there for about 6 months. And then I started it. And so we were both, you know, high school students at Summer Bay High, which was the most bizarre thing because obviously we're both in our mid-20s and all the extras around us were like 16, 15. And we'd always we'd be in a scene, we'd just look at each other and be like, what is going on? What are we doing? I'm not 16. but yeah, no, I kind of had an idea of where I wanted to go. And I feel like I've always had an idea of where I wanted my career to go, but I never had a path to get there, if that makes sense. Like I've got this idea of what I want to be, what I want to achieve in my life, but there's no pressure to get there straight away.
Acting's one of those things that there isn't a path. There's no ladder. It's not like you can do one thing and then once you've done that thing, you get to go on to the next rung. You might actually get knocked down a couple, and then you might get bumped up 10. And there's no rhyme or reason really to it. There's so much chance involved. You just have to be ready for the moments when they appear.
And you can't exactly follow anybody else's path as well. You can learn from them, and you can be like, oh, that'd be a great way to, to spend my life. Like for example, like you have people that you look up to. Like for example, Joel Edgerton is somebody that I love because he writes, directs, he acts, contributes to Australian content as well as overseas. Like that, as him, I'm like, that is so cool. I want to somehow be that. But at the same time, you can't exactly follow his exact path because your path is different. You're a different person.
The timing is always going to be different. The roles that come across are always going to be different. You're never going to have the same thing happen. You can try to set it up. I mean, your writing stuff can be really helpful. You can make your own work, and that's more accessible now than it ever has been. So we're kind of lucky in that way. If you really want to play a particular kind of role, you can actually make that happen. And if you know what you're doing, then maybe you can actually that can go worldwide quite easily now. More people watch YouTube than anything else, I think. So, right now,
short content, like web series and little bites that are like 5 minutes long. People love to ingest that kind of stuff. Like I saw the other day a ABC TV series which was on, I don't know whether you saw it on Instagram, and
content.
It was just like
so Charlotte Nicto, who plays the lead in that, I was her brother in the first series that I ever did, called A Girl's World. And so, she's one of my really, really, really close friends. She's now killing it. She's in Mythic Quest, which is an Apple Plus series. She's the lead, opposite Rob McElhenney, how do you say his last name, who's from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's like, if you can get access to Apple Plus TV, watch it. And she kills it. Like all these reviews came out saying that this is a breakthrough role. Everyone like the show's great, but she just smashes it. So it's like I'm so excited for her because she was one of those people who, like, she constantly had work and would do good work, and then she'd get like in the top 2 or 3 for like a massive blockbuster, and then just miss out. And a few years in a row that would happen for really big things that did really well, which it's like, it's a great position for an actor to be in, but it's also an awful one because it's like, yes, I got really close, but I didn't get it. Like, and people go, oh, it's so cool, you got so close. It's like, but I didn't get it. Like, so for her to now take that step is just, and the role is perfect for her. Her audition process for that was insane. I'm hoping to have her on this so that we can go talk about that because it was really cool. But anyway, back to you. That show's brilliant.
Oh no, I think she's absolutely incredible. She was like, I kept on saying to people, being like, how funny is this girl? Like, oh my god, she made the whole thing work. I thoroughly enjoyed that. But yeah, no, it's great to see people who have success like that. It's incredible. I definitely want to watch that Apple Play series.
Mythic Quest. Everyone at home should check it out
Quest.
too. Mythic Quest is hilarious if you've got Apple Plus TV or whatever it's called. Do the free trial and just watch that. That's all you need to watch. But, wait. We've gone off track a little bit, I feel. So you're about to start Home and Away. What was your first day like?
Oh.
Good answer.
It was just the best day ever.
How many scenes did you have?
Like 2?
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, but it's what happened in those 2 that was terrible. So it was on. I was very lucky. The first day that I got to be on set was. So I'm skipping. So obviously we had rehearsals beforehand.
Oh, you do rehearsals,
which was every rehearsal. We do like a day of rehearsals every Thursday or every Friday. Right. So the new block director comes in and they sit in a room for that period of time. And then you just go in for like an hour or 2 hours. You basically go in, read the scene, and then you go, I feel like my character would say this.
I feel like that happens quite a lot.
Yeah. But it's just a good time to explore the scene and to thoroughly dissect it before you go on set. Because, as you know, time is money. And as soon as you get on set, it's just so fast paced that you want to do the best possible job in the shortest amount of time. So anyway, I remember doing that. And then the next week was location Palm Beach, the surf club. And it was me stealing some money from a table. And on that table was Scott Lee and Matt Little. Who played Hunter and VJ. And I was supposed to grab the money and run away. That was it. And then Scott Lee grabs me by the shoulder, pulls me round, and I'm like, oh, just like, get off me. And then I get caught, get sent to Alf Stewart. End of scene. Maybe the second time that we did it, I was wearing a denim jacket and Scott had his hand on my jacket. And as I turned, his finger got caught in the denim and dislocated.
Oh, I knew it was coming.
The worst part about this is because he's like the nicest guy on the planet, doesn't want to wreck filming, doesn't want to like halt anything. So he just continues. I didn't notice.
Wait, so did he pop it back in or was it still dislocated?
Nope. No. Still out. We do it again, and then again, and then again, and then again. And then I could see he was like standing there and his hand was shaking. And I was like, oh, hey man, like, are you all right? And he's like, yeah, fine, it's good. Anyway, we did the scene, and then he goes to the second AD and goes, I think there's something wrong with my hand. And his wedding ring finger, it's like that. It's like popped out just in that joint there. And he never could have like popped back in. So like 2 weeks later, I saw him in the lift and I went, oh, hey man, like, how's your finger? He's like, oh yeah, it's all right. He shows it to me and it's all purple and it's still out of place. And he never got it like...
Wait, so he never went to a doctor?
Popped back in. He never went to a doctor. So if you ever see Scott, ask him, just be like, hey man, can I look, like, just randomly look at your wedding ring finger? And it's bent.
You bent his finger. for
I
his
bent
life
it on
now.
my
For his
first day.
life.
For his life. But like, I don't understand why he didn't get anyway.
So for everyone
Oh,
playing at home, don't do that. Like,
don't do that. Go to the
go to the
doctor
doctor.
straight away.
Stop the
Yeah,
scene. Take care of yourself.
stop the scene.
They can
I
figure it
know.
out.
It's
Oh.
not worth it. It's just a TV show.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a good first
So,
day.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, like that happened, but on bright side, it was a lovely day.
It was sunny
Uh,
outside.
sunny. It was, and always summer in Summer Bay. It was beautifully a sunny, beautiful summer day. So
Yeah, it's always
that
sunny
is
in
up.
Erinsborough, except when we're filming. It's always sunny on screen.
Oh,
um,
yeah, all your outside is on a lot. Is that
yeah,
correct?
so it's actually the
Like a
biggest backlot in the southern hemisphere, which is kind of cool.
wow.
So all the backyards
Mm.
are on the lot. The lake and Lassiter's complex, which is like the hotel, the police, and the pub and the coffee shop are all out there. And then it's quite incredible because they use pretty much every single bit of the surrounds of the building, the studio, and all the corridors in the studio, underneath the studios, like different stairwells and stuff. It's the one thing that when you start, it's like you can't take any photos and post to social media anywhere on the studio lot, even if it's just a tree in the background, because people know the trees. Like the super fans will be able to go,
Oh wow.
that they're on the, not that necessarily they're going to be following you anyway, but if someone tags you in something or whatever, and then they go down a rabbit hole, find you, then see this photo, they must be a new cast member. So it's kind of it's really cool. But we don't have when I started, we had one day of rehearsals. We'd have Monday, and we'd have rehearsals for studio, but not location. We'd never have rehearsals for location. We just have studio rehearsals.
Oh, do you know why that is?
Well, because they needed all 5 days for location. Because we shoot 6 eps in a block. Because you
Oh,
guys only
okay.
shoot 5, right?
Yeah.
So then
fine, yeah.
so your day that you'd probably do the rehearsal, we would need on to shoot that extra episode.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So yeah, we used to have rehearsals where we'd just run the studio scenes, and some of them you'd just go in for 5 minutes, and depending on the director, sometimes it'd just be like you read through it, basic blocking, and then you're out. And others you'd spend a little bit more time. But mostly it was less for the actors, depending on the director, and more for the props department and costuming and stuff to know what else they would need, and how the sets would have to be set up in case they'd need a return or whatever, so they could have a fourth wall and that kind of stuff. And what props we
So
would
they
need
were
and that kind
there.
of stuff.
They're there.
There'd be like a
room.
representative from each department watching the rehearsal and the AD, obviously. And then we stopped that because we shoot so much and we had to shoot all this bonus content, so basically we didn't have time for that. But somehow we figured out we tried to do a read through of all 6 eps before we started shooting location, and that lasted a little bit, but then we started to get behind, so then we were still shooting on Mondays, and then and it was only like for a few hours that we'd read all 6 episodes, and then now we don't do any of it, and we just turn up and we go. We just, it's
It gets to that point, doesn't it?
yeah.
Where you just have to kind of show up and hope they're in place. And yeah, I mean, we have 5 days of studio, and we've actually started doing 6 days. So we do Saturdays as well,
All right.
which is just quite taxing. But then we do usually 3 days of location, and two of them are usually at Palm Beach, and one of them are at a location which is the caravan park and like this exterior household.
Right.
But that has been sort of going from between 3 and 4 days, so it differs, I guess, how many scenes you're actually shooting. And
Yeah, we do 5 of each, so we're location and studio are constantly going, but we never do weekends, probably because I think the show can't afford to get everyone there on the weekend anymore. And so like the public holidays really hurt us because we lose that one day, which is a huge amount of content. It's more than one episode of content that we've got to make up. And then like we had the 35th year, which was anniversary stuff that was a couple of weeks ago now, and there was 5 extra episodes, so we had to shoot our whole slate of 43 weeks of 43 times 6, whatever that is, plus an extra 5 on top of that, which then was shot over like a month period. So we're having 3 units running and people going between 3 different units all week. Like Millsy, who was playing basically the whole story, was the end game story was based around his character. He shot like 150 scenes in 4 weeks. He was doing like 30 or 40 a week. And it was just like, and all like heavy dialogue too. So it wasn't like him just walking from one point A to point B in a scene. It was like him just dialogue. So it's
and intense stuff as well. It wasn't just like, walking into a coffee shop and getting a coffee. It was
it's him playing a psychopath. So, but people loved it.
Yeah.
I always have to bring it back to Neighbours. Can't let you talk about Home and Away for too long. That was our Rainbow Ramsey Street sign. There's only, I think, 3 or 4 of these currently in the world. One I think Magnus Davansky has, who was our celebrant for my character and Maddie's character, and then I think
very jealous that you got to work with her.
Yeah, she's amazing. Maybe even might be able to get her on this. Would be really cool. I'd love to know what her life was like growing up. And I got myself and Matt Wilson, who plays my husband on the show, one after we did the wedding. As his birthday present, I just really wanted one, and then I think the show still has one. So that's a pretty special sign right there. I've got to say.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a collectible.
It is a collectible. And if anyone wants to throw up a bid, no, that's not happening.
Yeah. Bidding starts now, and I'm looking at the comments. Let's go.
How do you feel about staying on Home and Away and that kind of thing? I don't know if you'd want to answer that, but have you enjoyed the time so far?
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it's been it feels like a million jobs in one, because your character obviously evolves, and that's one of the great things about the show, is that you can move on with as you age, the character ages. So it's really nice to see difference, because obviously I started as like a very young character, was working with young actors, Olivia and Anna, who were like the 2 people that I would mainly work with, were in that age bracket where we were actually, our characters were in. So they were like 16, 17. So it's really interesting moving on from there now to working with actors who are a little bit older, and the dialogue obviously changes, and with that, the set culture obviously changes, because you're no longer working with younger actors. So yeah, no, I'm very happy at the moment, just working on the role. And one of the great things, I don't know whether you can do this with Neighbours. So the head writer for Home and Away encourages us to go up there and be like, what do you want to do for storyline? And you can go up there and pitch. You can be like, I want to do this. I want to surf, which Ryder eventually, he does now.
Was that a Lukas also wanting to learn how to surf and then making a write-off for your tax?
Yeah, it was actually the story is there was a fire alarm in the Channel 7 studios, and everyone had to leave the studios and all wait outside. And I saw Louise Bowes, who's the head writer, and I went, oh, there she is. I walked up to her and said, Louise, we're stuck out here for the moment, and let's make a pact. In a year's time, you're going to write me a storyline where I go surfing. And within that year, I have to learn myself as how to surf. And we shook on it.
Wow.
And lo and behold, a year later, Ryder learns how to surf. And so does Lukas. Terribly. But, I can still do it.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, just like, it's really cool that you can go up to the office and be like, hey, I've got this good idea of, like, where my character
Hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Don't call it a good idea.
Yeah, true. I have an idea. Take it or leave it.
Yeah. Well, I've done that once, and it ended up a storyline for a different character. I was like, well, what's that episode like? Where were you? Were you at home? What were you doing? Did you have friends around?
Yeah. The first episode that I was in, I was only in the last scene of the episode, and I didn't know that, and so I got a whole bunch of friends around.
They think you've been cut.
Everyone watched the whole episode was like, "Are you sure he's in it? Like, is he lying to us?" And then, like the very last 30 seconds, there I was. I was like, "See, I'm not lying. I'm not lying. There I am."
You've been pretending to film for the last 6 months.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah,
for a featured extra role in the background, grabbing some money or something.
yeah, yeah. Not even. But yeah, so that yeah, I had a couple of friends over, and we kind of I don't know celebrated that. But like I said, my housemate was already on the show,
Yeah,
so
true.
uh, yeah, yeah, that was
What
nice.
was the
That was a long time ago. It feels like a long time ago.
what was the like getting the social media response and having all these followers and that kind of stuff? Like, how do you find that? Because some people, like I'm sort of midway with it. Obviously, I'm doing this, but some people make it a real sort of job for themselves, and they're posting like super constantly and kind of doing both things at once. They're doing the acting, and then they're doing the personality that they've created on the social media as well. Yeah, where do you sit on that line, I guess?
Yeah, I I see my I'm quite a like private person in my real life, and I've always seen um, the most impact that I can do for the world is through my work rather than my life, if that makes sense. And so, which is why like I'm so passionate about wanting to write my own things, direct my own things. Um, that I've I do a lot of music videos. I've got a team between me and a director and a cinematographer, and we've been producing music videos for the last couple of years. One's just about to come out, and it's about a story which is very, very close to me. So it's really nice to be able to express myself in like my
Is that
work,
through the Your Mouth
but
Collective?
then kind of
Is that what that is? That's different.
no, that was a theatre company that I created while I was at uni, which lasted for another 2 years after I had finished. And we wrote and directed a few plays. One of them we performed at Queensland Theatre,
Cool.
um, but that was more performance
Right.
based
Yeah.
theatre works, which I've kind of like moved on from. The two people that I worked with are both brilliant, and they're both in theatre at the moment. But I've kind of stepped into more
Yeah.
film, I
The Screen
guess,
World.
and like yeah,
So
yeah,
how
the
did the
screen
music
role,
videos
yeah.
come about?
Um,
Where did that start?
oh well, funnily enough, like I one of the or the director just messaged my agent and was just like, "Oh, we want Lucas for this music video." And then I said yes to it, and we got to know each other. We did the music video, and then ever since then, her name's Maddie King, and she's basically become like my working buddy. Like we write things together. We want to produce things together. So we've become very close in the last like 3 years. And then ever since then, we've like developed short films together and a few more musical uh, Sydney local bands. One called Moza, and we shot a music video in New Zealand for that, which
Cool.
was so much fun. And then the next music video that we've done is for a band called Yuma X, and they're a Sydney-based artist. And that's going to be coming out very soon. You just have to watch this space. Um, but yeah, no, that director, love working with her, and Miller, who is the cinematographer for all of our projects, is just incredible as well. So I feel like I've created this like cool little collective team outside of home and away where it's great to have this job where I can practice my skills and come to work every day and film, but it's also really nice to go and do something creative, which is like my own little baby,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, I guess coming back to your question, it's I don't think I've gone through the path of wanting to be like a personality, if that makes sense. Like, um, I'd prefer to work with I don't know. Like I prefer to I prefer to just like put work out there of what I perceive the world as, if that makes sense, and rather than
You want to do more you want
yeah,
to have your voice as an actor as opposed to a personality or influencer, in that sense.
yeah. Because I feel like I can probably do the most amount of good that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
acting as somebody else is a much better thing than you as you. So that's
Oh, way better, way better. I'm terrible. I'm a piece of shit.
all right, let's end it with just we'll have a look through the chat and see what questions and see if there's anything fun that people have
Yeah.
have proposed. Um, People are asking me questions about how is not filming Neighbours. What's like this? I am doing this, so that's how it is. um, what do we got here? Some people are saying that they love Home and Away. Fair enough.
Oh, do I have any best friends on the show?
Yeah, do you?
No, I hate everyone. No, no. Um, no. I would say we're all very good friends, and that sounds so cliche, but everyone's a bloody legend. I'm probably closest to Courtney Miller, just because we're very similar age, um, and she's in also in the music that which is coming to your screen shortly. Probably Courtney and Patty and Sophie and Emily. We're all very close
Do you have any
together.
crazy fan
Yeah, but then
experiences?
also, I've had my face printed on a T-shirt and had that fan wear that T-shirt in like a meet and greet.
Nice.
That was quite interesting. Yeah, I'm flattered.
um,
Have you? What's your craziest fan
the craziest ones for me are the ones
experience?
where people in the street say hello, but in a very familial way. It's like, oh, hey, how you
Yeah,
going?
yeah,
And you're
yeah.
like, do I know you? I don't know if I know you. Do I know you? And you're like, oh, hey, and you've got to play along with it just in case you do know them or they're someone from school or whatever and you can't recognize them. And then they call you your character's name. You're like, oh, I get it now. And then you just do the normal thing of photos and whatever. But I've never had,
Yeah,
people have never been negative, which is good. I feel like for the most part, I think negativity will come through online and that kind of stuff. Especially on
yeah,
Facebook, it's weird. Like the Facebook, like the neighbors' Facebook page will have a lot of not nice things, but the personal pages generally are all pretty fine. I don't know what it's like on Home and Away if you guys get the same, but
yeah. No, I the Facebook pages are like more negative than Instagram.
yeah.
You know what I think that might be though, and this is going to be quite ageist,
You're stepping into it now.
but stepping into it now. But like, I you know, prove me wrong, but I feel like the demographic of Facebook is a lot different to Instagram. And does that have a, you know,
You would think that the
is
demographic
Facebook?
that like because Facebook is seen as more of an older social media, and you would think that that would mean that they would be nicer because they've been around longer, so should know
Yeah,
to
yeah,
treat
true,
people
true.
better. But for some reason, the young Tina crowd that's on Instagram are generally nicer for some reason. Um,
Oh, teens these days are very woke.
they're so woke. All right, I got like anyway. Well, thank you for joining us. Everyone who's still watching, who's supposed to be watching Neighbours in Australia, what are you doing? You should be catching up with this later, but you can catch up with Neighbours later anyway. We went over time because it was too much fun chatting. I could talk to you for a while. I mean, we met at the Logies, and that was like, I don't know, it was just like one of those things like, I dig your vibe. And then we just hung out for most of the night.
Yeah,
So, which is always
yeah,
my favorite part of that whole experience. I don't know about you, because the whole red carpet thing for me is a bit like, ugh. But
yeah.
the after party and just hanging out with
Like,
people's like, I don't know, that's the fun bit for me.
yeah, being able to share stories about, oh, just being able to meet people in the industry, which are, you know, are there, and you always see their faces, but you never actually get a chance to actually interact with them. So it's really nice to be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for joining me today, Lucas. It's been an absolute
No worries.
pleasure having you and such an interesting chat. And I'm glad I got you on. But now I have to say thank you to everyone at home for joining us today. I get to announce tomorrow's exciting guest, who you will all know. Well, if you watch Neighbours, you do. I'm coming back to Erinsborough, coming back to Ramsay Street. But next week, I'm hoping to mix it up again as well. But we have, and I really like this poster that I made today, so I hope you like it too. Ben Hall. And Lucas, you can't see it, but there is a Breaking Ben Hall cover that I've done, which is kind of silly. Which actually I replaced Liv's face with Aaron. There, Aaron, what's his name? Aaron Paul.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Really appreciate them.
All right, well, that's it. Thank you, everyone at home, for watching. We'll see you next time. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, which is somewhere on the screen over this way, so that you don't miss out tomorrow, next week. We're going to have some really exciting guests next week, I think so. But thank you for joining us. Stay safe, stay home, and I will see you next time. Bye.